Some film critics out there are calling Marty Supreme an instant classic, and it won all types of awards. Do I believe this to be an instant classic? I think it's a pretty good movie, but to say that's an instant classic, one of the best movies of our generation, let's hold the horses a little bit on that one. I think this was a really good movie, but there were some parts of this movie that held it back a little bit, and I wouldn't put it on the top tier, but we'll get to my score later on throughout the movie review. I do believe this is a good movie, but I'm not willing to say, put it in your letterbox top four, say it's one of the best movies of you in 2025, probably for me. I think it was solid. I would recommend it. If you've seen less of the Sadfie brothers, then maybe it would actually be better for you because I feel like this is just a rerun of the main character that I've seen in Good Time and I've seen in Uncut Gems, just done in a little bit of a different way, which was interesting, but it's kind of that same sort of storyline. So I'm saying no for instant true classic. And yeah, overall, I did think this was a solid movie. We have to hold the horses a little bit as a society. So I thought Timothy Chalamet was great in this movie, and I love how there is a debate on his character. Do you think he's a good character? Do you think he's a bad character? Are you rooting for him or are you not rooting for him? Personally, for me, I don't know. I don't know what I was really. I feel like I was kind of rooting for him, and even in movies like Good Time, I found myself rooting for Robert Pattinson in moments. I'm not the most morally obligated person when it comes to movie rating of characters and being on their side. I kind of liked what Marty had going on. Like he had a dream and he was going after it. You have to respect that. Look at me here right now, podcasting to you, hoping one day that I'll make it big. But no, I thought that Tim was great in this role, and I like that open dialogue box of like, what do you think of Timothy Chalamet's character? Every time I say to someone, "Hey, I watched Marty Supreme," they're like, "I watched it too. Did you like the main character?" That's an uncommon event of when you ask someone about a movie and that's the same question over and over again. And it's a deep thought provoking question like that. I was thinking about Marty Supreme for a couple of days after watching it as well. So that's kind of an indicator of a good movie to me, thinking about it at least the day after you watch it. Was that worth a watch? Did I really learn anything from that movie? I think this is kind of like an obsession level addiction to sport, addiction to achieving a goal. And does he ultimately accomplish it? No, but he satisfies it in his own head through going through all these crazy means, destroys his life along the way. And yeah, I mean, this is the same prototype of a story that's in Good Time and Uncut Gems, the two Sadfie brother movies I've seen before. Maybe these are all the same sort of way, in my opinion, or in my estimation. Who knows? You guys will have to let me know down below in the comments. But I also thought the supporting actors on this movie were really standouts in this one. We had Kevin O'Leary, who knew that the guy from friggin' Shark Tank was going to be such a beast in this movie, but he really gets it later on, which we'll talk about throughout the movie. And then Tyler, the Creator. I know he kind of had a history in doing. I remember him on Vine. I remember a really funny Vine of his of a toilet and whatever. I was 13. I don't know what was funny at that time, but Tyler the Creator to go from rapping to music, it's hard. Ask The Weeknd, yeah, I guess Ariana Grande is doing okay, but it's not easy to just jump in and become a great actor. And I thought I want to see more of this Tyler the Creator character, and I love the scenes of him, Timothy Chalamet hustling people. This whole movie is just a roller coaster ride, man. Which it keeps you strapped in. I was actually on a flight watching this movie. Downloaded it through HBO Max, had it on my phone, so maybe that helped in to be more locked in. I know people say when you watch movies on your phone, there's really no distractions. I don't get Wi-Fi in planes, so I'm not like on my phone anyways. I just throw on a movie, read a book, watch a show, that type of thing. But I was locked in, and I thought this was good, did a good job captivating me. I was even one of those classic things for those moviegoers and movie watchers on the planes is when you get off and you have like 10 minutes left. You try and time it perfectly. This is going to work. This is going to work. But airplanes are actually moving pretty fast these days, unless you get stuck for like 17 hours, which does still happen. But I feel like I overtimed this one because I got off the plane, still had a couple minutes left. I remember watching where I was watching or walking in the hallway to my next terminal and watching him at the end of the scene. I won't spoil the end for now, just in case anybody hasn't seen it. Which spoilers ahead if you haven't seen this movie. But yeah, it does keep your attention, which is a big part of rating movies for me. So I did like that part. I thought the music was a little bit odd at times. I don't There was just moments of like, what are we doing musically? And I feel like half the movies I rate, I pick on the music sometimes, and or half the movies I watch, I don't even care about the music. But I did leave a note to myself, like the score in this one was a little bit odd at times. I don't know specifically, I can't put my finger on it, but I didn't love the score of this movie. And this movie does fall into a trap that I don't love In the third act, things just completely hit the fan. It's like we're jumping the shark. He's on the farm chasing down the dog, and then a guy comes, and another guy shoots him, and then he shoots him, and then of course he makes it all out okay, which like it is what it is. It's a story. Like he's obsessed with his sport. I mean, I can't buy into that. I think some of my favorite movies are even crazy, like Inception and that type of stuff, where it's like obviously this would never happen, but at least it makes you feel like that would happen. Where now we're just going to like interaction with 17 people on a farm. People are getting shot. People are living. People are dying. It's all over the place in my opinion. Where I don't know. I think it's a little crazy at the end. I do like the ending though, the overall ending of him seeing the baby and the resolution to his story. I thought that they did a good job with that. So that's kind of my small overview on Marty Supreme. Mostly positive things to say, but a couple negative things holding it back for me. And it's mostly just Sadfy Brothers fatigue, where I just see the same story over and over again. Where I think this is the best of Uncut Gems and Good Time, but it's just so similar that it's like I'm watching the same thing. Fast paced music, fast paced action, and the character is just a piece of shit who's like maybe he's a good guy. Timothy more than others, which I think is a great job by him in this one. Marty Mauser, but I don't know. To me, it does kind of fall into the same sort of bucket as those other Sadfy Brothers movies. And stay tuned for my score at the end, of course. Getting into my thoughts and reactions throughout the movie. Starting it off, if you're new to the channel, I always love to talk about the introductions to movies. Now we get the introduction to Marty Mauser, and I wrote immediately off the bat in my review, a decently compelling character who we get the gist of in the shoe store, where it's like he's working very hard in the shoe store, and then he is a girl walks in, can we go into the back and look for this extra pair of shoes? And then they just start banging. Like he gets whatever he wants, he does whatever he wants. We get that right away with Marty Mauser. And that doesn't really go away. Even in trying times for his character throughout the movie, he's still pretty much getting whatever he wants throughout the movie in terms of, trying to get more money. Eventually he finds it, getting the girl, which is a crazy storyline. Getting to match up against the Endo opponent at the end again, he gets that. So really, he's not really denied. I mean, he is denied at points, and he goes through rough patches, but he's always able to figure a way out of it. And it's kind of a little introduction to that. So that was, I guess, a pretty good introduction into his character and how the story we're about to watch. I do have to say I did find the storyline between him and Kay Stone to be a little odd throughout the movie, but I guess I can understand it where they're like sitting at the table and his sort of person who's I think it's like his representative in terms of or his old foe in the world championships like, hey, that's Kay Stone. She's at the hotel, she's staying in a nice hotel, and that pursues him or makes him want to pursue her and also pursue status even more, where he just suddenly gets the hotel room. Who knows where all this money is coming from, but he's a schemer, so we believe it. I don't know. I didn't really understand what was in it for Kay Stone specifically in this one, where she's married to Kevin O'Leary's character. He's rich, she's rich. Is it just like going back for that young love, or does he really have that true riz in order to secure her and like make her feel things she hasn't felt in a while, that type of thing? I guess that's where I lean on that one, but I thought this was like a weird dynamic through them throughout the movie, and it wasn't my favorite part of the movie. It wasn't bad, but Gwyneth Paltrow wasn't even bad. It was just like I don't know. It was weird dynamics going on here. What maybe it was just like for the money grab at the end. I don't really know what was going on with that. Kodo Endo, man. We got to talk about Kodo Endo. Dude doesn't even, I don't think he speaks any English throughout this movie, but I had a lot of respect for Kodo Endo. He's this new player who is, I believe he's deaf playing ping pong, which is crazy. I guess, if we talk through some sports that being deaf would be hard for. I mean, I guess deaf isn't like a death knell for most sports. Um, I guess like baseball would be. I guess any sport we need to communicate with other people, but solo sports wouldn't be that bad. Like I'm thinking of fighting. I guess you couldn't hear things coming. It's weird to think about, but ping pong, I don't. You just need to see the ball and hit the ball. So I think that's a great sport to be deaf at if you want to play. So that's a good story for him. And then he just completely out aura farms and destroys Marty. And the first time they play in the World Championships, you have to respect Kodo Endo. And I don't know, I liked his character. I thought he was a boss throughout the movie. Kevin O'Leary, I thought was a great sort of villain in this movie as well, where he's kind of this, businessman, always looking for more, always looking to make Marty do whatever he wants. Insults him by offering him to join the Harlem Globetrotters, which who knew back in the day that there was Harlem Globetrotter ping pong players. I haven't been to see are the Harlem Globetrotters still around? Is that still a thing that's people go and do? I think I went and saw that once, and I was like, why am I here? It's just a rigged basketball game, but don't shoot the messenger, right? But Kevin O'Leary is a fun character throughout. He kind of brings, I don't know if it's like an outside of the movie. It's like a unrelated thing where like him from Shark Tank, so he's kind of an asshole anyway. So it's like him being kind of an asshole in this movie is just like makes sense. And I thought he was a good villain throughout, and he definitely does get his scene at the end, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But I thought Kevin O'Leary was a great addition to this film. Wally, I talked about Tyler the Creator already, was also awesome in this one. Fun little run with them hustling. I think that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, if not my favorite scene in the movie. Them going to this bowling alley, kind of pretending not to know each other. Tyler the Creator doing his thing, and then Marty sneaking in there and playing ping pong for money, taking all their money, and then the people come back at them, and they have to get into this crazy shit where Tyler the Creator is. I feel like Tyler the Creator is one of those guys that anything he says is just hilarious, even if he's not trying to be funny. So I thought Wally and Tyler the Creator were a good addition to this movie. Dion, bro. There's always that guy who just endlessly believes his friend and always thinks that his friend is going to help him out eventually. They even had the Marty Supreme ping pong balls, which I wonder how many Marty Supreme ping pong balls sold in real life outside of the movie. But yeah, Dion just kept getting hustled over and over again. Sympathetic character, man. We felt for Dion, but he was getting scam schooled by um, Rachel and Marty, and it was tough to see. That was a tough part to watch. Another big part of this movie is Rachel. Obviously, she's in the introduction to the movie when they are in the shoe store, and she now comes to Marty later on in the movie and is like, "Hey, I got beat in the face. She's got this bruise on her face, clear bruise to see, right? Nothing extra going on there." No, she faked this thing the whole time, which is like she was really just in love with Marty Mauser. So there is that kind of, I don't want to throw any assumptions to the wind here, but there are people out there, both men and women, who kind of aspire to get with these people who are crazy and who are selfish and who are self-absorbed, like Marty Mauser. And she literally faked her husband beating her in order to do that. Marty goes and beats him up, and then well, maybe it was more of a pregnancy thing where she knew the baby was Marty's. But it feels like she kind of had that like undying love for Marty, and she was gonna. I think they were childhood friends. That could be wrong, but it feels like she was chasing that shit no matter what happened. And we find out she faked it, that was kind of a big reveal, and I was kind of shocked by that because Rachel did seem pretty like I was pretty empathetic towards Rachel's character. Got me for a surprise on that one. You know, I'm shocked that I did not actually hear about that scene before watching it play out on my screen in June of 2026. Like, how did I not hear anything about that? Maybe I didn't, just in passing, and maybe that's the benefits of me being off Twitter for a while in order to avoid Survivor spoilers. I feel like maybe I definitely would have been spoiled probably if I did have Twitter. So delete Twitter if you want to if you want to stay true to not being spoiled on movies and being spoiled on shows, especially reality shows that film in the summer of 2025 and come out 10 months later. But I did not know that that was coming, and I was like I was sitting next to a kid on the plane, and I have to watch this shit next to this poor kid who's like watching freaking Stranger Things, Tales of '85. I had to hide the screen. Luckily I'm tall, so I got the angles. Like I felt bad, but people watch crazy movies on planes, right? But yeah, I was in shock watching this. Tim, I don't know. I'm not even gonna say what I was just gonna say. Kevin O'Leary spanks Timothy Chalamet. Like that's just crazy, bro. And I think it's a good moment because it's kind of embarrassing for Marty Mauser, where like he doesn't really totally lose, even when he's losing money, and like his mom brings like the police officer to come like put some sense into him. He just runs out the window. Like, he doesn't really actually lose until Kevin O'Leary spanks, and that's like the big moment of like he's got to eat one on the chin to get what he wants, which is to play Endo again, and he just has to take it in order to get this opportunity, in order to get the money he needs, and in order to pay off his debts and get back into the world championship. So he just has to sit there and take it, being completely embarrassed, which I thought was a great moment. Probably that moment and the hustling moment were two of the best moments, just from a thematic standpoint and also enjoyment in the terms of the hustling. Shootout. Yeah, I mentioned this before in my off the top small overview of the movie, but yeah, this was a batshit shootout, just a little bit over the top in my opinion. Three or four parties going at it. Of course, it's like a Tarantino movie where like everyone shoots and then one person's alive, the one person we need to be alive. Where it's like, I don't like that like extra craziness thrown in there. Like we were doing a good job keeping this like semi-realistic, and then we just get into that scene where it's like, okay, all this crazy is just gonna happen. Marty's gonna walk out unfazed. I guess Rachel does get shot, but she's gonna make it out, of course. I don't know. Not my type of ending that I like there. I guess it's like that third act. It all has to lead to something, right? But look at a movie. Well, I won't spoil my next movie review yet. Just too much, too over the top ending, in my opinion. But I did love the final match as well between Mauser and Endo, where of course Mauser lets Endo win, and then he's gonna get truly embarrassed, where they are gonna make him like take a picture with a pig on the stage. But Endo is a respectable man. He's like, we'll play one more time, bro. And Mauser beats him. Kevin O'Leary's like, fuck you, you're supposed to lose in front of this Japanese crowd. But Mauser gets to fly home with the army and go see his child. Not a bad ending for Marty Mauser in this one. I did like the ambiguous nature around Marty's character. What are we supposed to feel towards him? Are we supposed to like him? Are we not supposed to like him? I think that's one of the driving forces of this movie. I thought they did a good job with that. And I think there was some decent positive aspects of this movie. I definitely would recommend this to a lot of people out there who have not seen, especially who haven't seen Sadfi Brother movies before. This could definitely be one that's like you lock in, you're all of a sudden you look up and 2.5 hours are gone. I thought this was a pretty good movie. So overall, on my score, I'm going to give this movie an 8.3. Would recommend it to most people out there. I thought Timothy Chalamet was great. Thought Tyler the Creator was great. Thought Kevin O'Leary was great. Gwyneth Paltrow was good. But no seriously, this was definitely a movie worth watching. And they are still making good movies in 2025. I'm always going to say that. I went to the theaters probably 12. I did go 12 times last year in 2025. I'm slacking behind this year. We got Supergirl out this week. Last week. We got other stuff going on right now, but it's been crazy. I got to get back to the theater. Life's been hitting me, and it's just been a lot. But I'm trying to get to the theaters. Movies are still good, guys. Don't worry. Buy your tickets. Go see these movies. Odyssey coming out. I'm gonna watch that like 5 times. Supergirl, Spider-Man. I'm trying to say I should have went and saw Marty Supreme in the theaters. I'd probably give this even a higher score. But phone screen compared to a movie theater screen, it's probably different. I do believe I would probably give it a higher score in the movie theater. So all that to say, 8.3 from Marty Supreme. So where does this score compare to the other movies reviewed so far? This is the 111th movie reviewed on the Dubcast channel so far, so good time to jump in. We've got an established base right there. This is number 28, so this is roughly in the top fourth of the movies, tying a bunch of 8.3 movies towards the middle of the pack of the 8.3 movies. Yes, the scoring is going to get a little crazy as we continue on with just so many movies ranked, so I'm going to try and keep it more brief. This does beat out Good Time, which I do have a review of Good Time, the movie I've been talking about throughout. The Sadfi brothers directed that one. Obviously, only Josh Sadfi on this one, but 7.6 for Good Time. This one clears that one with an 8.3. So this is the new best Sadfi Brothers directed movie. We got some Timothy Chalamet reviews done on the channel. Unfortunately, this is the fourth best of those 5 Timothy Chalamet movies. You had Dune Part 2, which I gave a 9.0. Dune 3 coming out later. Dune, which I gave an 8.6. Beautiful Boy, which I gave an 8.4. And then Hostiles at 7.4. Timothy Chalamet is barely in Hostiles, but he's in it, so it counts. And this does beat out Hard 8, which I gave a 4.7. Gwyneth Paltrow on those movies. So hey, new best Gwyneth Paltrow movies, even though I haven't been the nicest to her throughout this review. So that's where we'll leave off with Marty Supreme. A fun watch, a fun review to do. Felt like I was just flowing right through it, just like the movie. In and out, intense, highs, lows, just like this review, man. So if you liked what you saw, make sure to subscribe. I got shorts coming out for each movie I'm going to review as well, so we'll have a little bit of a different format on the shorts. And then in future movie reviews, the next movie review will be Road to Perdition, unless I go see one of the movies that I'm trying to see in theaters. I won't tease that in case I don't end up going to the theaters, but besides that, we have so many shows coming out this summer. The people have spoken and they want shows in the summer, I guess. We got House of the Dragon season 3. I've been going live with my our co-host David on that. That's been super fun to get into a show with somebody. That's the first time I've done besides one Survivor review, but to do a show with a partner, that's been super fun, and we've been doing that. Silo comes out July 3rd. Crazy time to drop a show Friday before 4th of July, but I'm not Apple TV. I don't know what's going on. We'll do a review of Silo and other shows. The Bear season 5, the last season just came out. I don't think I'm gonna do maybe a short on like overall thoughts on that season if I finish it in time. Definitely expect a Bear tier list post season 5 though of the characters. I like to do those for all the shows that I watch and finish. And we have other shows, even more shows coming. Outer Banks season 5. One of my most hated videos is my Outer Banks tier list. So how will the show continue on with spoilers for Outer Banks without the worst character JJ? I said it. We got Walking Dead, Dead City coming out. What's the other one coming out? Quarterback. There's all these shows coming out, so it's gonna be a really good summer for media, entertainment, TV, and movies. And then in terms of sports, we've got McGregor Holloway 2 for UFC. Hopefully, I'll be rejoined by Shane to cover that. And then it's going to be about August for when we get back into the NFL season, and I'm rejoined by my hosts Cam and Mikey to break down what we saw this offseason. how we expect everything's going to go in the NFL season, and we'll have weekly streams for that. So much to do here on the Dubcast channel. Hope you join me and subscribe. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do whatever you got to do. Thanks for sticking all the way through this video, and as always, be easy, y'all.